Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. We begin with the latest on the Nigerian Army's operation against armed bandits in some parts of the country. The Army, in a statement on Friday, said it has arrested 2 armed bandits in Kaduna State. The suspects were arrested by troops on a clearance operation in Rijawa and Chukun town of Kaduna State. The Army says they are currently under investigation and will be prosecuted accordingly. In a report to mark the 4th anniversary of the kidnapping of the Nigerian schoolgirls from the town of Chibok, the United Nations Children's Charity UNICEF says more than 1,000 children have been taken by Boko Haram militants in the northeast of the country since 2013. UNICEF says children in the northeast continue to come under attack at a shocking scale. According to UNICEF's Nigeria representative Mohammed Malik Fall, the Chibok anniversary is a reminder that they are constantly targeted and exposed to brutal violence in their homes, schools, and other public places. UNICEF said the repeated attacks were unethical, adding that more than 2,000 teachers had been killed and about 1,400 schools destroyed in nearly a decade of conflict. The House of Representatives Committee on Emergency and Disaster Management has summoned Vice President Yemi Osinbajo over the illegal suspension of directors at the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The committee investigating the alleged violation of public trust at the agency summoned the vice president during its sitting on Thursday. The directors are said to have been suspended by the agency's governing council, chaired by Osinbajo, without due process. Also summoned are Ibrahim Magu, acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, investigating the directors, and also Winifred Oyoita, who is the head of civil service. The trio were asked to explain their role in the alleged illegal suspension of the directors. The International Criminal Court, ICC, says prosecution of African leaders is justifiable and aimed at ensuring that justice is duly served. The president of the court, Chile Ebel Osuji, disclosed this during a working visit to Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema. The newly elected president said his visit is to show gratitude to the country for its support and understanding in working to strengthen and reinforce the Rome Statute system. The Foreign Affairs Minister, on his part, lauded the election of a Nigerian as the president of the International Tribunal, adding that this singular feat would change lots of negative narratives about the country.
Those Africans who are suffering from the violations that the court is inquiring into and prosecuting are not complaining that there's witch-hunt going on. And Nigeria has been very supportive in saying that there's a need for that court to stand and to be supported. And Nigeria has put its, as we say, has walked the talk. So if there's a country that's in a position to appreciate that, Nigeria would be, and it is supporting the court. But Nigeria, first of all, has stood up to say they saw the point, they saw the arguments, and they've come to the determination that this is a court that needs supporting. And we're here to express gratitude to Nigeria for doing that. That's part of what I'm doing, the reason I came here, to thank them for the support and thank them for understanding the argument and standing up for the right thing.
If African leaders are being tried, the question at each time is, are they justifiably being tried? And that's all that should concern us. Not whether the 10 of them who are tried or whether the larger number of those who are being tried are Africans, but it's just whether the process is fair, there's a case to answer, and whether African rights are violated. And we as Africans should be happy, if our leaders are being held accountable and if our rights are being, upheld, and when violated, those that violate them are held to account.
Amnesty International says a total of 2,285 people are currently on death row and at least 600 people put to death between 2015 and 2016 in Nigeria. The International Rights Group reviewed this in its 2017 Global Review of the death penalty published on Thursday. It decried that death sentences in the country have spiked massively over the past 2 years, with 171 and 527 death sentences recorded in 2015 and 2016 respectively. In Nigeria, the death penalty is imposed for a vast array of crimes including armed robbery, murder, and treason. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has urged the European Union to advise the federal government to follow the rule of law and adopt best global practices in its war against corruption. The national chairman of the party, Uche Secondus, made the call while he received the EU ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ketil Carlson, who visited him at the party's national secretariat on Thursday in Abuja. He accused the ruling All Progressives Congress of harassment and intimidation of its members in the fight against corruption. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) says it is set to resume prosecution of former Inspector General of Police Sunday Ehinderu for alleged 16 billion naira fraud. A spokesperson of the commission, Rasheedat Okoduwa, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja on Friday. Okoduwa said the case against Ehinderu, who was IG between 2005 and 2007, will continue at the FCT High Court in Abuja. The former police boss is facing trial for alleged criminal conversion of money belonging to the Ministry of Police Affairs into personal use while in office. The Federal High Court in Lagos on Friday rejected an application by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) seeking to seize the funds in 15 bank accounts linked to Patience Jonathan. The funds which the EFCC sought to seize include a total of $8.7 million and over 7.35 billion naira. Justice Mojisola Olatoregun rejected the ex parte application filed by the EFCC for the seizure of the funds, saying the funds were already subject of litigation before 2 other judges. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ruled in favor of former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, in the corruption case filed against him. The ruling delivered on Friday relates to Adoke's involvement in the sale of the OPL 245 oil block. The EFCC had accused the ex-AGF of misconduct in the $1.1 billion Malabu oil deal, but Adoke, who has denied the allegations, asked the court to declare that he only acted based on instructions from former President Goodluck Jonathan. The senator representing Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, has alleged that some people are aiming to tarnish his reputation and silence him using security agents. The lawmaker on Friday in a tweet said some people are abusing power and plotting to use security forces to frame him. Sani's reaction on Twitter comes less than 24 hours after he was invited by the police in Kaduna State, requesting that he appeared at the command headquarters. This was after he was allegedly mentioned in a murder case. The Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Austin Iwar, in a statement on Thursday said he has written to the senator asking him to appear at the command headquarters in Kaduna for questioning on April 30th. Nigerians will now have to enjoy quality health services without necessarily suffering financial hardship. The Nigerian government on Thursday in Abuja launched the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Jesus, says health services must be people-oriented to be truly universal. The Minister of Health, Isaac Adewale, also revealed that the Basic Health Provision Fund provides the platform for the expansion of high-impact and life-saving interventions to all Nigerians.
The establishment of the BHCF provides a great opportunity to turn political commitment into tangible gains and to rally partners and the private sector around revitalizing primary health care as the foundation of achieving universal health coverage. Primary care is the bedrock of every high-performing health system. Making health services truly universal requires a shift from designing health systems around diseases and institutions towards health services designed around and for people.
Within the X sector, we now know, based on research in the last few years of this administration, that targeted coverage expansion of high-impact intervention, especially in reproductive, maternal, neonatal, and child death sector, to underserved populations, have an immediate impact on the health of women and children. Several programs piloted by government and partners across the country have demonstrated this. Expanding such programs sustainably is critical to improving health outcomes and human productivity and economic growth.
I knew that finally Africa was ready to take the lead in providing the solutions to Africa's challenges. So I affirm Dr. Tedros and the WHO's vision on behalf of women and children in Nigeria, on behalf of midwives all over the world, and on behalf of everybody that sees that putting people first is the right investment and the smart investment to make for our people.
The trajectory that is presenting itself is so scaring, because without money, there's nothing we can do. I join everybody thanking all of us for this putting it there, and for those of you who are here, but also to appeal that please, what is necessary is the political will. I say this because a meeting in Accra about a month ago was a small survey that shows that of all the 15 key drivers of how you get this thing done, the first one was that survey was the political will. Just the political will. If the political will is not there, Abba Jama, we are not going to achieve anything.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, Esther Vassi will take us through the world of business. Stay with us.
People to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PPC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website onevoice.ng, onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people who are looking to pledge that, because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, my vote no go count now, try vote first, maybe you see whether it will count, you know.
It's about the files your secretary presented to me regarding the company's salary. Yes, the figures don't seem to add up. I suspect there's some form of a
discrepancy.
Precisely, sir.
Keep the figure that way.
That's not doing, sir.
That's my money.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that, sir.
See how padded your teeth are. Are you telling me you cannot pad up figures?
Sir, padding is against best auditing practices, and it's a form of corruption.
It's true. Accountant.
You were testing. Thank you, sir.
That's it. Bagole.
Yes, sir.
You are fired.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine, sir. Rather than watch corruption grow under my watch. Padding is a form of corruption and not in my country, sir.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which game was with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics has good news on the Nigerian economy. It said on Thursday that inflation has dropped to 13.34% in March 2018. Nigeria's economy is currently experiencing disinflation. It is the 14th consecutive reduction in inflation since January 2017. Anita Felix takes a look at what this means for Nigerians. The latest drop in the inflation figure may only be 0.99%, but it's a big deal because it marks the 14th consecutive month since January 2017. The figure has been slowing down in Nigeria. It is also the lowest inflation rate in 2 years and is below the benchmark monetary policy rate of 14%. So naturally, investors will be looking to see if the central bank will bring down that benchmark interest rate, which they had long been pushing for.
For me, not just that the trend is positive, the magnitude that we're witnessing is also quite impressive. So we expect a lot of liquidity that will come into the system, and that could reverse the current southward movement in inflation rate. So I think one shouldn't be too optimistic about where we're going to get to, or too bullish that we could achieve a single digit this year, just because of the headwind that we should expect as we approach the election period.
A fall in inflation rates in Nigeria comes with several benefits. For the common man, it means there will be a drop in the price of goods, especially foodstuff. And the new figure shows a disinflation in the food sub-index to 16.08%, from the 17.59% recorded in February. But the question is, are prices indeed coming down in the open market, and are people really feeling the impact on the street?
We have to look at what are those sectors that are actually propelling the drop in inflation. One of the critical sectors is food inflation. Food inflation dropped from 17.6% to 16.08%. That's about 100 basis point decline in food inflation. And food inflation accounts for the greatest share of the basket of items that's measured that are used to measure inflation.
The Nigerian government is targeting an inflation rate of 12.4% by the end of the year. At first, it seemed a tall order, but going by the rate at which the inflation figure has been coming down, it just may be achievable.
As the government begins to implement the budget, as we move closer to the election period, it might be difficult for inflation to continue to go down. So I think excluding the impact of the food inflation, and of course the food inflation does not go down all through the year, because you're going to have the planting season, and when you get to the planting season, the decline we saw in food inflation will stall. So if you ask me, I would say we should expect further decline and be prepared for some level of uptick as we approach the end of the year. So if the food inflation trend continues, we should achieve the government target of 12.4%. I think that is highly feasible now.
All eyes will continue to stay glued to the inflation figure to see how long it can get before it stalls and how the country's central bank responds. The Central Bank of Nigeria has commenced the disbursement of 26 billion naira for agribusiness small and medium enterprise investment fund to the first set of beneficiaries. The fund was set up by the Bankers Committee to improve access to affordable financing for micro, small and medium-scale enterprises, particularly those operating in the informal sector of the economy.
Speaking at the inauguration of the scheme, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele said the fund was designed to support the federal government's effort to promote sustainable economic development and employment generation. He commended the commitment of the DMBs to supporting the scheme, saying the disbursement rate of the fund would have risen to 6 billion naira by the end of next year. And now to activities at the Nigerian stock market. The bulls made a return today after yesterday's bearish run. The all-share index went up by 0.29%, with market capitalization closing at 40,928.70 basis points. The market breadth was also positive, with Seplat advancing the most, followed by Okumu Oil, Dangote Cement, Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Guarantee Trust Bank. On the losers front, international breweries suffered the most loss with a 6.80% drop. Stanbic IBTC, Julius Berger, PZ, and Union Bank also made the list ahead of 18 others. Being Investors Delight, Sovereign Insurance, Zenith Bank, Lasco Assurance, FCMB, and UBA were the most actively patronized stocks for the day. The markets closed today with a total of 167.129 million shares, valued at 2.039 billion naira. The numbers of deals, 3,453. And that's all on business news. Thank you so much for watching. It's back to you, Fidelia.
Corruption not in my country.
Give him his shoes somewhere here. His phone and everything.
Don't do like that again. No.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going? Ho!
You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body? See?
Eh? You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here.
Sit down there.
Akoma, what's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Glad to have you back. Moving on to the international scene now. 4 people watching a local football match in Barawe, a town in southern Somalia controlled by government forces, have been killed in an attack by Islamist al-Shabaab militants. At least 10 others were also injured in the attack on Tabuk Stadium. The al-Qaeda-linked group hid the device under the seats and says it was targeted at Somali soldiers, but eyewitnesses said all the victims were civilians. Last month, al-Shabaab ordered the closure of all football stadiums in Somali capital, Mogadishu. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said a reported chemical attack in Syria was staged by foreign agents. The US and France say they have proof it took place. Alongside the US, the UK are considering military retaliation. Russia, which has military forces deployed in Syria in support of the government, has warned that the US airstrike risks starting a war. The White House says it is continuing to assess intelligence and talk to its allies about how to respond. Moving on to the sports world now, Oluwatobiloba Amusan made history as the first Nigerian to win a sprint hurdles title at the Commonwealth Games. Amusan achieved this feat on Friday at the Carrara Stadium in Gold Coast, Australia. She ran 12.68 seconds to win the race. Amusan is now Nigeria's first gold medalist in track and field at the ongoing Games. The 20-year-old is also the third Nigerian woman to make it to the podium after Modupe Oshikoya, who won bronze in the 1974 Games, and Angela Atiede, who won bronze also in the 2002 Games. Liverpool will face Roma in the Champions League semi-finals, with Real Madrid taking on Bayern Munich. The Reds stand Premier League leaders Manchester City in the last 8 and have been rewarded with a meeting against Serie A opponents who caused their own shock at the quarter-final stage. Roma trailed La Liga giant Barcelona by 3 goals heading into the second leg of a heavyweight encounter, but produced a thrilling fight back on Italian soil to progress on away goals. On the other side of the draw, reigning champions Real Madrid continue to chase down a remarkable hat-trick. Zinedine Zidane's side have conquered the continent in each of the last 2 seasons and 3 times in 4 years. Meanwhile, in the Europa League semi-finals, Arsenal have been drawn against favourite Atletico Madrid, while Marseille will face Red Bull Salzburg. Arsene Wenger's side will host Atletico in the first leg on May 26 before travelling to Madrid in the return leg a week later. Meanwhile, Marseille welcomes Salzburg for their first leg before heading to Austria the following Thursday. The Gunners secured their passage into the last 4 on Thursday night after a 2-2 draw at CSKA Moscow helped them win the tie 6-3 on aggregate. Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.